Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a impromptu live stream. Pretty short, but I just wanted to get some thoughts out here as we go. And it looks like, wow, 23 people hanging out, at least at my last update of my YouTube page here. So that just warms my heart. Thank you guys for tuning in. Great to see folks here, or 20 or so. Hit that thumbs up for me if you will. I promise I'll earn it. I will earn it. And we will get going here in a moment, but I don't know if Al's awake, so I'll bring him here in spirit. With me as always is my trusty TA Ram Man. That's one of Al's aliases. So I can't quite see him there. Okay, well, just waiting for some people to pile in because usually they fill in when the actual live moment goes out. So welcome everybody. Sound Engraver is first. Congratulations, Sound Engraver. I was not first on your upcoming stream. Unfortunately, they beat me to it. I was running errands. But definitely check out Sound Engraver live in 118 minutes. So math and then at that point. Make sure you check that out on her channel. And looks like Schooner Tuna is here. Haven't seen you around in a while, Schooner Tuna. Good to see you. Matt and Nui, welcome. Troy Pacelli, Wolf 10 Media. You guys did a great stream last night. I didn't catch the whole thing, but I tuned in a little bit and everything like that. So good to see that the Weeb Watch is slowly growing and progressing and becoming what it's going to be over there on Matchstick's channel. Let's see who else. 1992. Holy crap. I was going to say that might be, well, no, Robin would never say that. He always says holy something else. But Alec Purdue, welcome. Don't think I've seen you around either for a while. The Dark Tico Knight 12, definitely always good to see you. Let's see who else is in here in the chat and active. Daniel Heron, Owen Lister, Deadly Alien Invader. Welcome, welcome everyone. So I will stop now. Looks like you guys have been going for a while there on the chat. Age of Boomer, channel member, welcome sir. David Deister, haven't seen you around in a while too. Welcome David Deister. So Shadow the Hedgehog is an anti-hero, Deister says. That's I guess a character from the Sonic universe. I'm not really versed in the Sonic lore and Sonic mythos, so I wouldn't be able to answer that. But the name sounds like perhaps yes, a Shadow Hedgehog. If he's a shadow self of Sonic, then probably yeah. I don't know though. I haven't watched that. Stephen Cruz, welcome sir. Michael Kachi, welcome. So let's get into this a little bit. Those of you who remember last week at some point, I did a live stream on Overindulging the Trickster and how I see that happening in society right now, and I see the consequences of that. This is a sequel to that video because I also see that we're overindulging the anti-hero. Now, what do I mean by that? First of all, let me make it very clear. I'm not saying that the anti-hero needs to go, or that the anti-hero is pointless, or that we don't have any use for the anti-hero in any way. Anti-heroes are necessary to society in terms of archetypes just as much as any other archetype, but in a much smaller measure. They shouldn't be overindulged in, and we've been seeing that for a long time. But now we're seeing the effects of that in society. So that's what I mean. You know, don't hate me if you happen to like this or that anti-hero. That's fine. We'll talk about what they can do for us and what it means to, or the consequences of looking at them for too much. Owen Lister for $4.99. Thank you, sir. Says eating pizza with Coke. Coke is greater than Dr. Pepper. Coke is greater than Dr. Pepper, but not greater than Diet Dr. Pepper. Boom. Touche. So yeah, where was it? Okay, so I'm going to try to avoid using watchwords, so bear with me as I try to play Ring Around the Rosie with my language here a little bit. But with some of the movements we're seeing right now, what I want to get at here is that the anti-hero brings about revenge and acts out revenge. That's all the anti-heroes go. Now, it's a good thing for us to see that in a story, and I'll get to that in a second. But with a lot of the movements and a lot of the things we're seeing right now, for example, I said in the last video that tricksters like to question authority, like to question what is sacred. And a measure of that is good, but we're seeing way too much of that in society now. Everything is to be questioned. In fact, you're not really woke or you're not really hip if you're not questioning everything and anything. And that's a problem. You know, that just cripples society and shreds it to pieces. Well, the anti-hero, that overwhelming need for revenge and to glory in that revenge and indignation, we're seeing that with current movements as well. Don't you dare say the word all. You better say the right kind of lives. That kind of thing. Don't dare don't dare put forward this possible alternative or solution. We don't want to hear solutions. You because of where you come from, because of your race and such, you just need to shut up and listen. That's your only job right now. This is something we've seen for a while now. The feminist movement has done this forever. Remember the Me Too movement on Twitter? You had a lot of women were coming forward with cases of, and again, I'm just watching my language here with the algorithm, but cases of being taken advantage of, whatever. I'm just using the delicate language. And then you also had some men come forward at the time, and not even men from a particular political persuasion. You had men from, you had homosexuals from all different, heterosexuals. And you had them from all different political persuasions coming forth and talking about, that when that thing had happened to them at some point. And the overwhelming majority of the feminist force behind that movement told them to shut up. No, don't you bring that here. Don't you talk about what happened to you. You're a man, so you just have to sit down and listen, and you learn about the plight of women. A domineering insistence, an obsessive insistence that we are the victims. No one else can be seen as the victim. Everybody must focus on the wrong that's been done to me or those like me or something like that. That betrays the fact that you're not really interested in fixing a problem. You're not really interested even in getting justice. You're interested in revenge. You're interested in glorying in how good that feels to act out in one's indignation, to act out in a feeling of being wronged and to right oneself, because that's a good feeling. I mean, let's just be honest. That's a human feeling. But anybody in a civil society, or has a civil conversation for more than a few minutes, you've got to know that that's not something you can overindulge in, or that's not a place you can settle into. That's not an emotion where you can just kind of, that's your being and that's your place where you're going to stick around in for a while. That's not healthy. Looks like I've got another super chat. Daniel Heron, dude, are you wearing an Argyle sweater over an undershirt? That's the most metro thing I've ever seen you do. I keep my place really cool. It's actually sweltering outside. If I was to step outside, this would be rather torturous in a moment. But I keep it pretty pretty cool in here, so much so that I actually have to wear a sweatshirt. But I didn't want to put my raggedy oversized sweatshirt on camera, so I just grabbed the nearest thing that I could find. So that's what we're doing. But looking sharp, right? Appreciate that. Metro. Okay, Metro. Never been called Metro before, but we'll roll with that. So we've got this insistence, this overindulgence on revenge, a drive for revenge, a getting comfortable within one's indignation and how good that feels when you can act out and lash out and stuff like that because you feel you've been wronged. But we're not only seeing that in terms of this movement that's going on in society right now, or different movements like that. We also see it in individuals, and this has been going on online forever. Think about anybody who becomes angry on the internet. And I don't just mean somebody who read something and then they got angry for a moment. I mean those people who are just perpetually angry on the internet. They're always arguing or whatever. They're always going after people and stuff like that. They do this from a place of powerlessness. That's where that comes from. And that's where this obsession or overindulgence of the anti-hero comes from as well. And we're still going to get to the anti-hero archetype and what they do for us as well. But this is where that comes from as well. So I'll get to that here in a moment. I'm going to try and catch these super chats as they come along too, because I will lose track, and that's not cool. I appreciate everybody's super chats, and I am going to take this video down and repost it as a video too. So I'll cut out all the little all the little squirrel chases in the middle and make it seem like a coherent video. But David Deister, very much appreciated. Always a great super chatter. Says, hang on. I was just about to read it and then I lost it. Says, what story Denny O'Neil would write about the current movements? Oh, good point. Yeah, because he's always been somebody who was really good at handling cultural tensions in comics, in stories, not in a way that that pandered or that spoke allegorically, but in a way that really addressed things. So his, legendary example, of course, is Green Lantern and Green Arrow. I think that's probably what you're alluding to as well. So yeah, good point. Great point. And Netters Network, I don't get a hello. Oh, sad face. No, of course you do, Netters Network. I'm so sorry. I was just reading and then I thought, well, I can't just sit here and read all the chat because it was going so far. Of course, Netters Network gets a very special attention. Hello. Hi there, Netters Network. Owen Lister, anti-heroes and muscular men are Snyder's pet. Not gonna argue there. Definitely, the man's obsessed with anti-heroes. He can't even conceive of a real anti-hero. Deadly Alien Invader says, "Read my chat for $1.99." What? Did you super chat something? Sorry, Deadly Alien Invader. I don't see anything. Reposted there. You super chatted once. Reposted. I'll try and catch it. Finally, somebody else who loves Diet Dr. Pepper. You are in good company, sir. I should probably own stock as much as I buy. I might as well get a little bit of a return on it. So, yep, good. Yeah, the stream is quite lively. Thanks, Elijah Brown. Nice to have folks. I'll try to get through my thoughts. I did do a Catholic Bible Geek video earlier today, which was at least I tried to be planned and focused. So I knew that this one was going to be a little scattered, plus doing it live. But I just love the interaction and people like the live impromptu stream. So this is fun. So that's what we're doing now. And like I said, I'll edit it out and cut it. But let's go back to our powerless individuals angry on the internet. Let me start with their background. Usually, okay, obviously, I got you, Deadly Alien Invader. Yeah, it's fine. It was a joke. Usually when you talk to these people who have this insecure sense of powerlessness that they act out in anger about, you find usually that they've had really a rough time of it. You know, they usually had experienced very domineering parents or abusive parents or parental figures or something like that growing up. They've either experienced, they've been wronged in some way, in some unjust way, in either a school setting or a work setting or a government setting even, you know, and this is something that comes up into their lives over and over again, this sense of powerlessness. Now that's normal. Things happen to us and out of our control, and that's a normal human thing. We can feel powerless sometimes, and that's something that the human psychology just has to deal with. You've got to deal with that somehow. You've got to integrate that, but there are healthy and unhealthy ways to do that. So what's a healthy way that the anti-hero can help us with that? Let me go into this. I did make a video years ago. I think it was right before the Punisher series came out on Netflix, and I said, and I was going through what anti-heroes can do for us and the catharsis and whatnot. Because if you remember, before that series came out, there were those school shootings, those tragic school shootings happening. And I think they even pushed back the release date of the Punisher. And then you had people from the usual corners of social media and politics and whatnot trying to say, oh, it's just horrible. We shouldn't have this. Well, really what they meant was they just didn't want the guns there because, you know, that's really what they meant. You know, they were reducing the whole thing to one political issue that they were just trying to, soapbox on. But I argued in that video that anti-heroes are useful because when you feel powerless, when you have maybe not even in the moment, but when you've been through things, and you know, I'm not a big anti-hero fan in general. If I list my favorite superheroes, I won't even list a single anti-hero. They're not the kind of characters that I gravitate toward. But even myself can recognize they are useful at times. It's good, and they can be healthy, and there's nothing wrong with them. Some people in their taste might like them quite a bit, and that's fine. You know, there's no judgment there. But a good anti-hero story is about somebody who's been wronged, who obviously, usually to a much more extreme degree than any of us have, although some of us have been. That's horrible. But somebody like the Punisher, for example, just since we're using his example, you know, you've got Wolverine, you've got Deadpool and so forth like that as well. But somebody like the Punisher, family tragically, killed and everything like that, and just not getting a fair shake. The government's after him and so forth. So the only justice he's going to get is vigilante justice. So we see how that plays out in his stories when they're done well, in comics or in the series and so forth, or in some of the movies, maybe not so much in others and whatnot. But you see this, he achieves that end. And there's a catharsis that we get from watching him achieve his vigilante justice. He always goes too far, though. There's always a point in a good Punisher story when he finally makes it through or gets the government to realize, somebody on the government or some police officer, some government agent or whatever, he finally gets to the point where he could back off. He could back down. He finally got through and things are going to be taken care of a little bit, but he can't at that point because he's so driven. He's so just myopically fixed on that revenge that he wants. So that's what he's going to take for himself. And we want to see that, obviously, as viewers. I mean, it would honestly be bad writing if he turned around and said, that's it, I'm done now. I mean, I like that when other heroes do that. In fact, I think that's a good thing to teach us to do in real life. But for the anti-hero himself, they're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to see, for a reason I'll get to, we're supposed to see them go on and achieve that vigilante justice anyway. One of the best ways I thought this was done was in that first Deadpool movie at the end when he's about to kill the guy who perpetrated all these horrors upon him, and Colossus is telling him, no, you don't want to do that because this and that, and giving him the usual like noble speech, because Colossus is a great kind of more aspirational type hero, and Deadpool just in the middle of his speech doesn't even let him finish. I think he just like shoots the guy in the head or something like that, and then you've got Colossus throwing up at the sight of it or something. It's crass, it's gross, but for an anti-hero story, that was like, okay, well played for an anti-hero story. Again, not my cup of tea, but that's the anti-hero. Now, why does that help us in a healthy manner? Because it doesn't sound like that's obviously not a healthy thing to do. It's not something we should be doing in our real lives. But how could that help us watching that done? It can help us because it gives us a catharsis. The catharsis in terms, catharsis changed its meaning a little bit when you apply it to something like Greek tragedy or Elizabethan tragedy, or certainly things that are going on today. But the idea is that a catharsis in classic terms is a purging of an excess emotion that you feel. So if you feel very powerless, very angry at the things that have happened to you, a need for revenge, a desperate need for revenge, which is normal, it's human. Watching it played out in the story, you can project your own wrongs that have been done to you on, or you link those up with this hero, or this anti-hero rather, and you can feel sort of a catharsis go through as he achieves the vigilante justice that he's looking for. But in the end, the anti-hero doesn't ride off into the sunset happily ever after. Not if the anti-hero story is done correctly. He's not supposed to, because you'd feel cheated if suddenly he's like, oh, now I'm going to be a good law-abiding citizen again. That'd be a different kind of story. That's not quite the anti-hero that we're seeing portrayed nowadays. You're supposed to see him reap the consequences. It's a lonely life after that point. Think about the Punisher. He's always perpetually on the run. He's always involved in this kind of work. There's no going back for him because he left that, or that was robbed from him at the time, So the idea is that you're supposed to think, okay, I see how it would have played out, perhaps if I go through all of this, and the consequences aren't great. At some point your emotions are supposed to work themselves to a more manageable level. You don't have to not be angry about things that have happened to you, of course, but you're supposed to work them healthily into a manageable level into which you can find and do what you need to find justice in a civilized society. Now, maybe the powers that be aren't going to work or be conducive to that. Maybe that does require some fighting of the powers that be, some protesting, some things like that. But it doesn't require, mob mentality, machine guns, and lighting things on fire and all this kinds of stuff. That's overindulging the trickster horridly. So that's the healthy approach, or the healthy way that a trickster story, a anti-hero story. I think it's a trickster a second. Starting to switch my words. So you need to check that. All right. So what's the unhealthy way? How do we see people going about this anti-hero story and being inspired by it in an unhealthy way today? Well, again, as I said to begin with, looking at the certain movements today, again, watching those words for the algorithm's sake, but you see there's no logic. There's no logic whatsoever, so we talked about it a little with the Overindulging the Trickster, but questioning everything, nothing sacred, to the point where you have people angry about this ism that is going on. So maybe attacking images of people that may or may, however dubiously, be tied to that, pulling down those statues or whatever. But then they all run together. So, this person over here from this other period of history, they were involved in something different, but it's all the same because they're all those, the powers that be, the patriarchy, again, just trying to avoid my words here. But that's the thing. So there's no logic to it. You get just whipped up into this emotional frenzy. So we're seeing that with the things that are going on now. But let's go back to our individuals online who are just so angry all the time because they feel powerless. These things have happened to them. Well, the healthy way to deal with powerlessness is you do have to feel your emotions. You do have to process that. And you can't just swallow it. You can't just say, okay, well, that's just the way I'll be treated now. I'll just be like that. No, that's not healthy either, of course. But you have to be able, just like your shadow or just like your darker tendencies, you have to integrate them into yourself so that they won't overcome you. So you have to find ways to fight. If it means fighting the system, fight the system, or fight for your rights in ways that work in a civilized society, that are inspired by heroics and heroism and whatnot. When you don't do that, you fall into the passive aggressive mire. And this is where we see people at online. They will, and it can progress to even a not so passive aggressive. But you see people who they're so mad. They hear somebody articulate to a gathered audience a position on an issue that's opposite to their own, whether that's Zack Snyder movies, as I see all the time on my videos, whether that's a political issue, whether that's anything. They hear an issue articulated to an audience, they become infuriated because they don't have an audience. They can't turn around and give their side. They see somebody else being able to speak and being heard. They see somebody else having a voice. Infuriates them because they don't feel they have a voice. Now, somebody, they're so angry about me talking bad about Zack Snyder. What's to stop them from starting their own channel and doing their own video? Nothing in the world, except maybe poor people skills, an inability to gather an audience on their own, or a laziness and impatience. I see this a lot whenever I have people who are a little too vocal and insistent. Let me come on your channel. Let me come on your channel. Let me come on your channel. Because they see that I've done the work. I've got an audience here. I'm not YouTube giant by any means, but I have people who are, whether they agree with me or not, mildly interested at least in what I have to say, and they get jealous of that. They want that so that they can put forth their opinions. Well, make a YouTube channel. Do the work. Do the work. It is really painful to feel like you're voiceless. Absolutely. But none of us have a right to be heard by the world. You have a right to be heard in your daily, basic human rights kind of aspect, but nobody has a right, to preach their opinions and have a crowd and have, no, we all want that, of course, right? That's human nature. And if you feel slighted, if you feel powerless, if you have a history of feeling powerless because of, again, domineering parents or things that have happened to you at work, school, whatever, church, government, anything like that, then that just amps up your feeling of powerlessness in that moment. That amps up your anger that somebody else is being heard, especially if they're articulating their side correctly. You might not agree with it. You might even be able to completely disprove it. But if they're able to articulate it well, that deeply angers you even more, because how dare you don't have an audience and you're trying to, that kind of thing. I see that all the time. And it comes from that sense of powerlessness. And then it can be, it can project itself out in a lot of passive aggressive ways. On the extreme, it goes past passive aggression, and you have people actually going out there and perpetrating, horrible mass shootings or something like that, or the protests and whatnot we see. But the vast majority, I think, of people act out in a more subtle way, a passive aggressive way. Maybe they're 100% okay with trashing people online because they're using a fake name, and there's no consequence. They don't have to look at themselves in the mirror. That's a fake name that did that. And you see, the behavior of people online. I mean, I don't need to tell you how atrocious that is. I mean, Twitter is just a cesspool. It's, of people like that, regardless of their side. But it's that idea, there's no consequence. I've removed that consequence. I'm just acting on the manner that I'm settling into my powerlessness and settling into how good it feels to vent my indignation. That doesn't do anything. We've seen that happen for a while. And now we're seeing the fruits of it in society about this issue or that, coming to a not so passive type of aggression. So so what's the answer to this? Okay, we've overindulged in the anti-hero, and we see it, the anti-hero stories, to the point where it's not just that anti-heroes are the most popular types of stories, but to the point where we're tearing down, as I've said before, preaching it on my channel all the time, we're tearing down the great aspirational, and not even just the aspirational, the great cathartic motivational heroes. We're trying to tear them down into anti-heroes. I put in the thumbnail for this video, Snyder's Superman and Snyder's Superman and his Batman. That's not. I don't care. I don't care how much you love it. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Snyder has no clue what concept of these characters, who they truly are at their core. He's putting forth this vision because all he knows is anti-heroes. He doesn't know how to make a true stand-up, traditional aspirational hero as a standard to live toward. He doesn't. Wait till you see the Snyder cut. You'll see Superman. No, you won't. You can't see Superman become an aspirational hero. No one becomes the aspirational hero. Once you're a mopey little dweeby Hamlet, crying and letting your dad die, and all these bad things are happening to you, and woe is me, I had to kill Zod, and now I gotta fight Batman. You can't learn and to become an aspirational hero. They're the standards. As I've said before, they're not realistic. That's okay. That's part of the point. They're that higher standard for us to strive toward so that we can try to get as high as we can. We otherwise wouldn't strive to be so high if we start bringing that standard down to a realistic, gritty, realistic level or something like that. So we're doing that to heroes. I always preach about the aspirational heroes. Luke Skywalker, look what the sequel trilogy did to him. Look what people are trying to do to all of those because of agendas, right? Because of agendas. I didn't even know this because I refused to see Rise of Skywalker, but somebody told me the other day that there's a flashback scene in which Leia bests him in training. Like, she beats Luke Skywalker in training, and then she leaves the Jedi. I didn't even know that because I refuse to watch that movie. But that's an example of agendas tearing down these aspirational heroes as well, without regard to the consequences, just thinking that they can replace them with their own types that look more like them for whatever reason, for whatever agenda's purpose. But we're seeing it with the anti-heroes as well. And not just aspirational heroes, Spider-Man, great cathartic motivational hero. Daredevil, you're seeing these kinds of things in comics. We haven't seen a lot in movies lately because of, the things going on in movies and Hollywood kind of having to take a shutdown for a time and whatnot. But the Harley Quinn, or the fantabulous Harley Quinn, whatever that horrible movie was that thank goodness they're not doing a sequel to now. That was an example of this. Let's put together a group of anti-hero women acting out against the patriarchy, and in that terms it was contextualized as the Black Mask, gangster or whatever. But still, that if we're looking to fix things, then we're not looking, after it's all said and done, for a society that we can actually live in. The anti-hero doesn't create that society. The anti-hero helps us feel better about the things we've been through, helps us process some of that anger and indignation, and helps us settle back down to a point where we don't actually want to achieve the type of consequences the anti-hero achieves in their story. We still want to speak out for our rights. We still want to, take care of the things that have happened and achieve justice. But that's what we're supposed to do from an anti-hero story, because anti-heroes don't achieve a society we can actually live in. And if that's the kind of heroes we look to too much whenever trouble happens to us individually or to us in society, then society crumbles just as surely as it does when we overindulge the trickster and all we do is blur boundaries and hold nothing at all sacred. Remember I said the trickster doesn't add any solutions. The trickster just tears down. He doesn't build up. The anti-hero doesn't build up. The anti-hero just acts out in anger, throws a big, nasty, aggressive, murderous temper tantrum, and that's it. That's it. Might feel good at the moment, but how are you going to live with that? How are we going to go forward with that? You can't. We need more than the indulging and the trickster and the anti-hero in society today. So maybe that's where I'll take this series next. Maybe I'll look toward what type of heroes. Obviously, it's the aspirational. Spoiler alert, like you didn't know. But I would like to do a video. Troy, I think, sent me a video the other day somebody else had done about how we need Superman right now. And there were a lot of good points, but I would even add some more, in terms of my aspirational archetype angle on it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Stay tuned perhaps for another one about that. I think I missed a super chat while I was talking and going on. Balls Monkey. I remember you, Balls Monkey. I remember laughing at that name. For $5. Thank you very much. And I feel really bad for kids today. They're left with the worst version of the heroes we enjoyed growing up. Yeah, I mean, they're not even the heroes we enjoyed growing up. They're just ripped down, shredded, muddied up, dirtied up, soiled up, quote unquote heroes. And it's they're left with nobody to who do they look up to, Yeah, we need heroes. We desperately need heroes, and it's a good thing that people are creating them, at least on their own. So we'll get through that. I think while I was talking, I saw Adam Post pop in here. Welcome, Adam. Haven't seen you around in a while either. But yeah, my live streams, if they're not the educational book studies or film analyses, they tend to be impromptu like this. So, like I said, I'll take this down eventually and edit it together as a nice, concise video. But let me go over to the YouTube window, check in with some people just before I take out. Do hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. That wow, 67 people. You guys are great. Really appreciate seeing everybody here. Come on, refresh. See what that thumbs up's like now. And 69 people, 40 thumbs up. Awesome, good to see. But let me refresh that so I can take a look at these chats. David Dyster's own likes comics made a video on Superman. Don't quite know what that means. You have to tell me. Maybe I missed the context of that. Computer Robots, welcome. Haven't seen you around either in a while. Hello, Mr. Kreitzer. How you doing? Hope you and Alyssa are doing fine. Yes, she's doing wonderfully. Got to see her a bit today. David Dyster said, I think America is crumbling and there is no one to just stand up and say stop. Exactly. There are plenty of people saying stop, but they're trying to be drowned. They're desperately trying to be drowned out by the mob mentality. And the media is calling for that. The media is so incredibly guilty. The media is just whipping up the mobs right now. It's horrid. I mean, to be a journalist was once a respectable thing. That's so far beyond ever being true. That's just nasty. They're evil. It's an evil thing. I truly would argue. They're just whipping it up and perpetuating it and making it worse in every way they can for money's sake. For money's sake, for ratings, for all of that. Chat's jumping around there as it loads and re-enters and goes about. Paladin Demo says, doing more aspirational heroes, and in other news, water is wet. Professor Geek doing more aspirational heroes, and other news, water is wet. Hey, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. Definitely. Sound Engraver likes my shirt, so take that, Mr. Metro. Who was it said that? Daniel Heron? Agent Boomer? I forget. Thank you. Agent Boomer Hollywood doesn't understand heroes. No, they don't. We talked about that before. I think I talked about that when I was on Sound Engraver's channel last week about how people, when they learn to write, they don't learn how to write heroes anymore. They learn this false notion, this fallacy that your hero has to be deeply flawed, and if you're going to be an interesting literary or just an actual good story that people can actually follow, then he's got to have all these deep conflicts and trials and whatnot. And it's not that the hero has to be two-dimensional, not at all. Superman is not a two-dimensional character at all. And people who it grates on my nerves when I hear idiots in the comic book industry and the movie industry say it's so hard to write Superman. He's one of the hardest characters to write. Because that says so much about you. If you think that, you are a poor, jaded, twisted, sad sack soul. Learn how to hope. Learn what heroism is. It's not hard to write an aspirational hero. It's hard to get over your own jaded mentality and actually create that good story. You don't need to put them all in the same ridiculous mold of conflicted and should I act or shouldn't I act, and but there's consequences if I act. And I mean, I'm so sick to death of the Chris Nolan hero. He's a great artist and he's a great director. He can make wonderful films, but we are seeing, it's almost like the what was the name? The Byronic Hero we saw in like romantic eras and whatnot, from Lord Byron. You saw it in Lermontov, from Russian literature and whatnot. And it was very popular in aristocratic days in that time. And it was it was the wealthy, so bored with himself, bored with life, kind of disenfranchised youth, kind of hip bohemian kind of thing. It's just so stupid. And we're seeing that today. I think we're seeing that Nolan-esque hero, which is the Snyder-esque hero as well. It's just translating in all these different ways. It's nonsense. So I think I read Alec Purdue for $5. Thank you, sir. Said kids are looking up to shonen heroes now, not superheroes or characters like Luke Skywalker. Yeah. Hey, that's true. In terms of, let's see if I get it here. Oh, I got the DVD here, but hey, My Hero Academia. Now I know I'm not very schooled or versed in anime. I know you guys are going to go nuts right now in the chat and put out 1,000 different things that you want people to see and check out. I'm not Mr. Anime by any means, but the stuff that I've checked out and did I like quite a bit. And this, I will never stop fighting and trying to promote My Hero Academia. This is aspirational hero work 100% all the way to the end. As you guys know, as you anime fans know, I'm not Mr. Anime across the board by any means, but oh my goodness, Deku and All Might, I mean, that is just a heartwarming story. And I don't even like the style of anime it is. I don't like that kind of over emotional, silly animations they do sometimes, but I don't care. I'd watch 1,000 times that just for this amazing story, this hope and aspiration, and really gets at the heart of what heroism is. And that's what we need. So yeah, if kids today are looking at that, I don't know. I mean, I have my daughter and I have nieces, and they're not interested in that kind of thing, but I don't really know a lot of young boys that age to see if that's really popular with them. That'd be good to know if they're getting into stuff like that. But I mean, I know Dragon Ball Z and all that kind of stuff has been popular before. Oh, and Lister says Superman's willpower is what makes an interesting character, given how powerful he is. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Superman, he's too OP. No, he's not. Shut up. He's not hard to write him. He's not overpowered. Think about what goes through his head. I mean, when he's stopping a diner robbery or something, I don't know, and the thugs have a gun to some poor waitress's head, he can be angry. He can be angry at the mistreatment of this poor innocent person. But Superman's never going to give in, and the aspirational hero should never give in to that anger and indignation, even if it's not for yourself, even if it's on behalf of somebody else, like a poor innocent waitress in our scenario here. You never give in to that level of indignation so much that you stop looking at the criminal himself or herself as a human being as well. And that's what's so aspirational about Superman and other aspirational characters. Wonder Woman's a perfect example. The true Wonder Woman, not crappy Wonder Woman they put in the comic books. But the real Wonder Woman that's been there forever, she's about compassion. She's about truth. She's about trying to reach the wayward heart, the criminal and whatnot, and Superman as well. So you do what you can to save the innocent, but then you also do anything you can possibly do to save even the criminals. Sometimes they won't let you. People have free will. Sometimes you can't reach people. That's realistic. That's in Superman stories all the time, of course. But you never stop trying. Even Batman, that's supposed to be something for him too. And people, oh, no, he's supposed to be the Punisher. Batman's supposed to kill. It's cheesy if you don't ever talk to me again and get out of here. If that's what you think. It's no. I mean, even in, some of the more brutal Batman stories, like The Killing Joke, I love the fact that the concept of The Killing Joke is Batman. The introduction of that is Batman going to see the Joker in Arkham Asylum saying, look, the way this is happening, the way you keep coming at me, the way I have to keep putting you back here, it's only going to end in one of us dying. And I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. There's got to be some way for us to, that's amazing. Any Batman written today would never do that. Oh, no, I'm just a gruff, seeker of vengeance and stuff like that. Ridiculous. People think he has to be insane or something. It's, we've just forgotten how to write heroes. Absolutely forgotten. And it's a sad, terribly sad truth to it. So I think I've gotten out everything I wanted to say there. I'm kind of winding down a little bit, just checking in with the chat. I've got some work to do later myself. And again, don't forget Sound Engraver's awesome stream on how to keep producing art in hard times coming up in 82 minutes. I'll even place, I'm sure Troy probably got the link there for me, but I'll place the link over in the chat as well, so people can keep that on their radar. But yeah, I think I've got enough fodder to cut together for a video. But I do want to see if I'm missing anything in the chat and checking in with folks. Wolftown Media said something up here tagging me. When a gun is to your head, you're not going to sympathize or offer understanding to the person with the gun. I'm sick of people trying to make excuses for criminal. Oh, you mean like, it's not his fault. It's not his fault that he did this, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about either. I'm not trying to talk about, criminals need to be punished. Bad things, if they've perpetuated bad things need to happen. But to an aspirational hero, no criminal, having received their punishment by all means, is beyond redemption. Now, maybe the actual villain is. We know the Joker is beyond redemption. He's supposed to be an elemental evil villain, absolutely. But to Batman, anyway, in the moment, Batman's supposed to try to think, or at least try in any way he can, if it was possible to reach the Joker. I mean, that's what makes a hero, so that's the idea. Am I saying that? Oh, Wow. Matt Burton. Wow. That is I think that takes the cake for is that the biggest super chat? I think I got a $50 one once, or did I get $100? Wow. Anyway, thank you very much for that super chat. That is incredibly generous. You are the man. Let me read your comment here. A lot of people don't let you know what? For that, I'm even gonna post your comment if StreamYard lets me and keeps up here. There we go. All right. There we go. A lot of people don't like paragons because it often reminds them of their own failings. Yeah, and that's not what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to inspire you to be better. That's a really good point, because I like the fact that you use paragons too, because that is the, aspirational versus cathartic motivational are the two overall labels I give to all the sub-archetypes. So these archetypes can be aspirational, these archetypes can be cathartic motivational. But within the aspirational sub-archetype list, you have the paragon. And that's exactly, who I'm talking about here. Superman, Captain America, Wonder Woman, and so forth. They are the paragons. They're the ones that act in this way. And you're right. A lot of people, and that says a lot about yourself. What is your reaction to seeing that? If you're not inspired by that, if instead you're threatened by it, then that means you don't really want to see that kind of behavior. It's more important to you to remain behind the scenes and not let your real self out and be seen. That's more important to you, to protect your image, than to actually see true heroism in the world. And that says something way darker about you than even, your initial fear. You can't be threatened. They're not. It's not realistic, right? The aspirational paragons don't actually walk around. I mean, we see people that we think are very close to it and whatnot, and that's great, and we should strive to be as much as we can. But those paragon heroes in fiction, you're absolutely right. They're there to give us the standard. They're there to give us the ones to reach for. They're there to give us the ones to try to be like as much as we can. And I 100% agree. That's a good point, and thank you very much for that super chat too. Did I miss another one? StreamYard takes a while to catch up comment-wise, so I like to bounce back and forth between StreamYard and YouTube. Saw something about Frank Miller here. Elf Runner, like your Ghostbusters avatar there too. Frank Miller clearly likes Batman more than Superman, but turning Superman into a stooge that does whatever the government tells him is to do is wrong. Absolutely. In fact, The Dark Knight Returns, it's just so flippin' overrated. It's insane. It's so overrated. It's a lot of good stuff in it. A lot of cool stuff. As an Elseworlds tale, there's some good stuff in it. But Frank Miller doesn't understand Batman. Frank Miller took what Denny O'Neil and Len Wein and I'm blanking on his name. Got some of his original art over here. What does that say? I can't read his handwriting. I'm blanking on his name. Who's the guy that did the art for Denny O'Neil, Batman runs and stuff like that? Anyway, what they did to Batman and really made him a more serious hero and gave him some more serious stories, after the Batman 66 era. Frank Miller's like, that's not good enough, and Frank Miller just made him this brutal, evil anti-hero jerk. And he thinks he's the one that saved the character or whatnot. Frank Miller's just, certifiable. I do not like the man or anything he says, even though I'll admit he has done good stuff, his Daredevil, and elements of Dark Knight Returns, like I said, as taken as an Elseworlds, but and he said, these two, Superman and Batman, would not be friends. Well, that's just because you don't understand them. It makes perfect sense for them to be friends, because they are, as I've said before, two sides of the same token. Like I said, I've got to find that. It was one of my streams where I took that Steve Rude art of Batman in the daytime, and then or Superman in the daytime with the sun and the doves, and then Batman right next to him in the night half of the painting with the bat signal and the bats. And I was talking about how they're both the same hero, but they just operate in different settings, and that's what the differences are for. I'll try to find that part I did in the stream and cut that out, maybe post that as its own video. I think that would be helpful. But anyway, so yeah. Just close this out here so I can go and take care of some things myself while I get ready for Sunday Graver stream. Paladin Demo says, I may have my moments where I go anti-hero, but when I'm playing D&D, I go with the Paladin class, ye old aspirational hero. Yeah, I mean, the anti-hero is there for catharsis, so some people like to role play the anti-hero in a video game or D&D. Yeah, that's fine. To enjoy their stories, as long as it's not to learn how to be just like them, or because you can't bring yourself to actually act like them. So just, sit stalled within yourself in that passive aggression. That's not healthy either. And it's just going to drive people away from you more and more, as you live. So, yep. All right. I think I'm wrapping it on up now then. Thank you guys so much. We had a ton of people showing up. I really appreciate that. That was awesome to see, just for a good little impromptu like this. And like I said, maybe I don't know. I might just take this whole video and post it as is and not even edit it through, because I don't know. I'll decide. But thanks, you guys, for coming. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. Very much. Each and every one of you. Every little donation is very much appreciated. It always helps the old prof continue to produce content like this. And if you want to see more of these streams, let me know. I'll try and do these more impromptu at times. I do have to balance the live streams on my channel. It's way out of balance, but I have to try and at least keep the overbalance not so horrid between live streams and posted videos, because that hurts your channel's ability to be recommended and to gain more followers or subs or whatever. So yeah, but do please subscribe if you haven't already. Do please click that thumbs up if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's always fun. We'll be back tomorrow. So tonight, of course, check Sound Engraver's channel out. I think she said eek about 82 minutes. Let me see how much it is now. 74 minutes. So Sound Engraver's channel over there. Links are in the, I think Troy will drop it again for me here in a second. But yeah, that's tonight. Really great topic on art and producing art in difficult times. Tomorrow night on my channel here at 10 p.m., we're going to do the Laura. We're still doing our Tuesday night noir for the moment. We're going to start mixing in some screwball comedy with that as well, but we're looking at classic films, basically, because people, when people finally return to the movie theaters, what topped the charts there, or the ticket sales, was Empire Strikes Back, and they were showing things like Back to the Future. Nobody cares about the new stuff. Nobody's going out to see that stuff. We want the good classic old that was untouched and tainted and meddled and muddied by all the nonsense today. So we're doing the Tuesday night noir at the moment, and we'll mix in some other classic movies too. But tomorrow night is Laura, Otto Preminger's Laura. Amazing, amazing film noir. Gene Tierney, Dana Andrews, Vincent Price, even. Really great film. So that'll, grab your own copy, of course, which is easily rented on any of the usual places, for a few bucks, no big deal. And we'll all start together and do some commentary on it, and we'll have the usual crew here with us. Sound Engraver will be back to join us this week for that. And nothing Wednesday, I don't think. Thursday is our book study. Whatever next 4 chapters we're doing of Star Wars Scoundrels. We're almost finished with Star Wars Scoundrels. We don't have too many more weeks to go, and then we're going to launch into Dune to get into that. So that'll be fun. But that's Thursday. Friday, Fan Man's going to do something. Don't really know what. Don't really know when. But something Fan Man will do. I think he's still doing his Tuesday morning and Tuesday and Thursday morning Second Cup cafes. So that's Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Saturday. What's the rewatch again, Troy? Saturday? I think it's back on your channel. Saturday nights, Troy and Nanette and Al and sometimes Sound Engraver and myself will dip in the queue there, but we do some rotating rewatches, and I think it's Troy's rewatch. Well, what's your rewatch, Troy, for Saturday? Help me out there, or else I can always jump over and look at the nice calendar you put up in the Professor Geeks Facebook group. Happy Accidents. Happy Accidents is the, not really sure about that one. Don't really know that one. But I will, Troy's probably already done it himself because he's really on top of these kinds of things. But, well, actually, I'll just let Troy do it because I don't have the means to do all this right now and multitask, unfortunately. But if you would drop the link to the Professor Geek Facebook group, if you haven't already, I'm sure you have, you're on top of it. I appreciate that. That would be great. Help out. And the Professor Geek Facebook group, we do kind of monitor. It's a private group because it's for the community here. It's for those of us who, get to know each other in the chat and stuff like that. And, we don't do drama there. We don't do angry yelling at each other. I mean, if you disagree about this or that, that's fine. But we don't launch into any of those ugly debates or anything. It's not Twitter. that is the driving, managing force of my Facebook group. But it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun and posting things and such there. So yeah, I think Troy's put some questions together and whatnot just to make sure we're all kind of, keeping it a good community there. So there we go. Troy dropped that. And that's all for me. So thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. And I'll see many of you, I hope, over on Sound Engraver's channel in just a little bit. And then see you back here again tonight at 10 p.m. for Laura, which is an amazing, amazing detective film. So that's it for now. until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.